Hello, grand rising, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is the video in response to the Parasite cleanse that I did. This is an explanation for all of you who are asking questions and anybody here on YouTube who's interested. What's up, y'all? And if you were actually messed up by the thumbnail, yes, I shaved my head. No, it's not from the Parasite cleanse at all. Different experience, so different experiment rather, but made for a good thumbnail. Gotcha. The reason I'm making this video and the reason I posted all about it was because of the great pleasing results that I've had, which I'll talk about in a little bit. But first, I wanted to cover a little bit of why I actually did the Parasite cleanse. And to preface all of this video, because maybe it's a requirement, maybe it's not. I'm not a doctor. This is not official medical advice. This is not medical advice. Please consult your physician if you need something. Maybe I need legalese there. I'll try to put it here. Anyways, follow that. You know yourself and take this. This is what I've done and it's what worked for me. So that's bottom line. I'll repeat that at the end too, I'm sure. But yeah, so for me, the reason I first became interested in the Parasite cleanse, actually way back when, several years ago now probably, was when Iman Gaji actually came out. I think I was in college or in uni when this went down, and Iman Gaji and Joshua Mason was the guy's name, did a collaboration video, and that company I think was Detox Dudes. And so that was something I was like, oh wow, this is pretty interesting. They put a video together where I think Joshua helped Iman heal himself and get better clarity and focus and more. And so that was piqued my interest back several years ago. But then really what reawakened it maybe a bit more than a year ago was more and more study and encountering even like intuitive draw to it. And if you've watched these other videos, you'll know that intuition is something I have built a trust and a great relationship with, and right, listen to it in terms of like, okay, hey, I'm following what God wants me to do and more, and follow my intuition a lot. So have built a strong intuition that, and I would say all cases, steers me the right way. And so it was just an intuitive desire to learn about parasite cleanses and parasites in general. And then not to go down too many rabbit holes. I'm not going to go super in depth, so please research this on your own time. But I kept seeing more in terms of like parasite cleanses. And when I looked at what the symptoms of having parasites were and what my life experience was, I saw a lot of overlap. And especially one of those things, or a couple of those things rather, was on the note of craving, where if you study health, and especially the holistic side of health, it's really interesting where your body will actually tell you what it needs. And so just one example that I can think of would be if you are craving dark chocolate, you perhaps might be deficient in magnesium. And so, yeah, it was that I was craving sorts of different foods, but also experiences even more, and like it would get intense towards foods on the processed side of the spectrum, which if you guys have seen my videos or you know me, that's not me in terms of my beliefs and what I normally consume. That's going to be whole foods, lots of beef and fruits and honey and things along those lines. No seed oils, right? We're going to isolate all of those things and eat healthier. But it was like almost a rampaging kind of desire that would pop up like, oh man, candy, processed food, whatever, just and stuff that I know logically and from the past is just not great. So amongst that, as well as was other foods and even like what I would call low vibration or negative experiences, those were all really popping up and kind of rampaging for me. And in addition to that, it would be since even before December of 2024 now, I did not have a single morning until doing this parasite cleanse, did not have a single morning where I woke up feeling recharged, whether I slept 3 hours, 6 hours, or 12 hours. I woke up feeling dead, like a zombie, really no energy. It was a fight to get out of bed, all these kind of things. And I was like, no, this is not it. And so to get back on that earlier note about the rabbit hole thing, the other interest points, just to fully cover that, and in case you guys are really interested and like to do research on these things too, I had even studied articles, and this is where actually my interest was really peaked to get into more, was I've seen and read several articles on a comparison between, or not a comparison, a connection between the different parasites that live in your body and the 7 deadly sins. So for example, I forget the specific name of the parasite. Like I said, do your own research, please. But the article connected one or a couple parasites to dopamine. So it was based on either what they make you crave or what the parasite consumes or puts off in terms of like waste and emits, right? And so one of those was dopamine, which you can easily connect dopamine with either gluttony or lust, right? Because having that massive sugar or lustful behavior can be a huge dopamine release, right? And so that was where you kind of link the cravings. And then also from, you probably can't see your book, maybe you can, but there's a book from Florence Scovel Shinn, who's actually a huge contributor, and even her OG work has been a huge influence in my life. Definitely recommend reading her works. But in it, she actually talks too about these different thoughts. And going back to that article, even talked about parasites making you think certain things or affecting you emotionally, right? And then I read this book from Florence Scovel Shinn where she's actually calling the negative thoughts and even cravings in some ways demons. And so I was like, whoa, okay, here's another connection. So you pair that with the health side in terms of looking at what my symptoms were. And like I said, my interest was totally piqued. But because I was traveling so aggressively, I couldn't order it abroad in terms of like shipping it to Europe or to South America. And it is a 17-day cleanse that I'll talk about in a little bit. But with that, that was months and months where I knew I wanted to do this, but I was just waiting for the right time. And I'll tell you again, I'm incredibly pleased with it. I wish I did it months and months before. So that's why I'm making this video and encouraging you all to investigate it for yourself. That's where we'll go into now, into my results. I started it on March 3rd and finished March 20th. It is a 17-day protocol that I'll run in and, like I said, explain more. But for me, like I said previously, for more than 3 months, probably going on more like 5 if we're really investigating it, I didn't have a single morning where I woke up feeling recharged and fresh for the day. And that was something that, based on my previous just life experience, I knew that's not the way it works. That's not the way life is supposed to be. That's not the way God created us and how we're supposed to operate in this world. So that was totally off. And thankfully, I found, okay, hey, I'm helping community here. I'm helping my family. I'm doing things here in Ohio. Guess what? I'm in the States. I can order it. And also, I have 17 days where I'm actually not traveling. So funny enough, I actually ordered one of the products and it came right away. But then another product, because they had some shipping delay or whatever else, it ended up getting here like a month after schedule. So I guess technically I would have done it in January, February, but I had to do it in March because I had to wait on the product. Anyways, that issue of not being able to wake up. If you would have asked me on day 5, Will, what do you think about this parasite cleanse that you're doing? I would have said, I kind of like nothing. I miss meat. I'd like to eat meat. I feel decent, maybe a little bit more Zen-like. And I'll go into that later. But that all changed on day 9 when, for the first time in months, I woke up feeling completely recharged. Around 6-ish, no alarm whatsoever. Woke up and was like, whoa, this is new. This is it. And really, that continued and has since continued from that day 9 standpoint into day 15, day 17. Day now, I am, almost 10 days past finishing the cleanse, and I'm still there. So that's been incredible. And really, that sold me. That was, if it would have been just that, I would have been completely fine because that mattered so much. And that was really the overall goal. And so since the fact that was accomplished, I was greatly pleased. But if we continue a couple days until day 10, day 11, at 11 or 12, that's when I realized, whoa, all of a sudden I'm thinking in H. And what I mean by that is I thought previously I meditate a ton. And so I tend to think that, yeah, well, you have a great presence and peace of mind, and overall think fairly well, decent focus. I didn't even realize I had brain fog, and that's where somebody asked a question about, like, how do you know your brain fog was fixed? Do this. I didn't know I had brain fog previously, but because of this and the habits that I was doing with this, I felt even clearer and since have felt clearer. So that stacked on top of actually waking up and continuing to wake up feeling charged and ready for the day, and like I had enough energy and could attack my day like I want to and know I have in the past and can. Big W. On top of that, overall, about day 15, nearing towards the end, this whole like shaving my head and doing the parasite cleanse and more have all been endeavors and throughout the process of, there's a guy named Ray Pete who I would recommend you all study if you're interested in the health and holistic space. He has a basically a frame of reference, frame of mind called N equals 1, where you are your own sample. And so that's what I've been doing, and really, really working to understand like the health and nutritional side of things, because I'm someone who I've seen abs on my body like a couple times. Even when I was the most athletic playing basketball, tossing off the backboard, dunking it, cocking it back, whatever. I didn't have abs in my body, and I felt super athletic, but from a physique standpoint, was not pleased with that. And I felt good in terms of, from probably a nutrition and an energy standpoint. Like I knew that that's not the way I was supposed to wake up feeling dead, because previous in my life I'd woken up and worked hard and felt supercharged and ready to get the work in, get the day done. And so that's been an endeavor of mine. And in pursuing that, that's where basically I've done these things, and the parasite cleanse was one of them. So with that, I haven't really had, with that past of going through these things nutritionally, there's so much information, as I'm sure you all know out there. There's oh yeah, this guy says cut here, this guy says eat this guy says do that, this guy says backflips and ride a unicycle, right? There's so much information in the health space. But on that day 15, what really, really stuck out to me was it was almost from an intuition standpoint of a, not just a, oh hey Will, this is a synchronicity, you should do this, but an actual listen to your body speaking to you, a connection of your intuitively connecting with your body and its understanding of nutrition, what to eat, and how you should behave. Was a bit uncomfortable with during the whole thing was due to what I was eating, eggs, fruits, and vegetables, and I'll talk more about what the protocol was. I was like, Willie, I kind of feel like a POS. Like I feel like I'm actually, funny enough, gaining weight and looking flabby or fat or whatsoever. But the most comforting intuitive thought was, Will, you're doing the right things. This is the right process. Go back to eating, bring back meat in, take your regular physical activity, maybe, add some more steps. And it was like, I just knew that it was going to work out, and I will see my goals unfold before me. I'm obviously putting in the work in now, but it was a deep, comforting reassurance that, hey, this is the path. You're doing the right thing. You are in connection with your body. Not just a mind muscle connection, right? But like a mind nutrition, a mind physique connection. So that was also uber pleasing. But without further ado, let's get actually into what the protocol is. So unfortunately, I only have one part of the actual pills, or they call them vegan caps, that I took. I gave the other to my grandfather because he's actually going through a different parasite cleanse right now. But what I took is from, let me get it a little close, Scram and something else called Intestinal Movement Formula, both from Health Force Supplement. And the way I found out about this was through brother Rocky with Warkitchen. I believe Peyton Elroy as well. Give them both a follow on IG, Twitter, wherever they're there. Their content is awesome. They're spreading great stuff in terms of health and aesthetics and more. So I found out about it from them, asked them what their experience was. They both had basically good reviews there. And on top of that, checked in with my great friend, and I guess, yeah, I'm technically his client as well, Colin Skinner. He's been really guiding me a lot through this holistic health process and in terms of recommendations and more, and really encouraged me to follow the intuition on this point, and so helped. And so I checked with them, and basically this is what I'd seen and even was intuitively drawn to in terms of having the Scram. And so this is the process. And then what I did in terms of the protocol is it is a 17-day cleanse, and their recommendation is basically plant-based, organic, and more. I can attach that I'll link it in the comments so you can actually go through their stuff. But in my talks with Rocky and Colin, what we came to is, okay, let's follow that, and maybe we can do eggs, because I was concerned about getting in my protein. I've never been a vegan or a vegetarian before, and I was like, I love meat by all means, lots of beef and steak and everything along those lines. So that was where it's 17 days, and they say no dairy, no meat. So I followed that, and then only ate eggs, and I cooked my eggs in avocado oil or coconut oil, and then did fruits and vegetables. And I love fruits, so that was super easy. As well as I did potatoes also, which starch, vegetable, whatever. Like I said, all of that in avocado oil or coconut oil. And so I did that for the 17 days. Didn't add any extra supplements, really no changes to my routine. I meditate pretty regularly, or very regularly rather, and I eat breakfast, lunch, and dinner with snacks in between. I didn't track my calories personally because I've just been really following intuitively. Okay, when am I hungry? I'm going to eat. I'm going to fuel myself, and then when I feel full, we'll be good. And so I ended up probably consuming a dozen-ish, 8 to maybe 15 eggs a day, with around average, once again, a potato a day. And then, like I said, lots of fruits, not quite as many vegetables, definitely more fruits, but also vegetables and honey as well. And so that was what I consumed in terms of the protocol. Then specifically, the way you take the pills is a little bit different, because you might be able to see, but it's completely empty. So what you're supposed to do is take all these pills until the bottle is empty. And so the way you do that is you start, let me see if it says it on here. If not, yeah, it does. So day one is you just take one of these, and you take an increasing amount of also the intestinal drawing formula, which I'll say the scram first and then that. So on day one, I take 1 scram. On day 2, 3 of the scram. On day 3, 6, and then days 4 to 17, you take 10. So yeah, there's a couple pills eventually on the daily. And what I did there for the intestinal drawing formula, I almost matched it. I started with 3 on day 1, and then day 2, I moved to 5. Day 3, I kept it with, I actually matched it 6 and 6. And then days 4 through 12, I did 8, and then 12 through 17, I did 10. So days 12 through 17, I was taking 10 of scram and 10 of the intestinal drawing formula for a total of 20 pills. And no, I did not break the diet protocol. I made sure to take exactly the number of pills. So I followed that pretty much to the T. Like I said, you heard what I said, no dairy, no meat. I followed that all the way through in terms of what that is. Yeah, like I said, I had weight and protein concerns. I was like, okay, shoot, I don't want to lose a ton of muscle or get fat. I guess I was still working out. I didn't go uber hard, because I've had experiences where, even though this isn't quite a 3-day dry fast or just even a 3-day water fast, I've done those before. I've done longer fasts where if I go hard in terms of workout or time in the sauna or whatnot more, you end up feeling pretty lightheaded, pretty drained. So I wasn't going crazy in terms of workout, but I was still working out 5 times a week, getting steps in, etc. on that note, playing basketball. So I wasn't like super wiener, oh, let me be very soft and uber careful. If your intuition says that, I would recommend probably following your intuition. I was, once again, going intuitionally on a lot of these things. And so, like I said, felt, Will, you look kind of flabby today, man. But by that day 17, like I said, completely reassured. And now I'm days off of it and feeling better, and still feeling comforted and reassured. And yeah, this is an affirmation. I'm on the right track. Very cool. So just to review results once again, I even made, if you saw the Instagram stories, they're pinned now under my IG like notes tab. Charged up, waking up without an alarm in the morning. Huge W. Elimination of brain fog that I didn't even know I had. Awesome. Didn't know, didn't expect it. Really great results. Total decline to near zero in terms of cravings for just low vibration stuff, whether that be processed food. Like I'm just like, no, I don't, the way I feel right now, I just don't even want processed, because that's what made me feel compared to how I feel now, nah, I'll escape away from that. But not just processed foods, unhealthy foods in general. I've always been like a huge sweets and desserts guy. Not as strong, unless it's fruit or honey or anything like more like raw milk, low pure ingredient, whole food type of thing. But no, I'm not like, oh my gosh, let me get this chocolate lava cake, da da da. Like I would have been previously. Yes, I resisted it, but the craving was still there. Lustful stuff. And yeah, like I said, just low vibration, anything along those lines. Great. Awesome results. That mind, nutrition, mind, physical body connection, the intuition, also awesome. And I'd say that really covers it there for me. Like I said, I was really blown away. I was just looking for that result of waking up and feeling charged, but have got way more, which is why I'm once again sharing it here. That's one thing, is when the parasites are dying. This was something that's interesting. Other people asked if I had experiences or like negative feelings. What I did notice are piercing headaches. They say since when the parasites die, they emit like toxic noxious gases, which can give you headaches. Sorry. And so I did experience headaches maybe about half the time. Nothing that was like, oh my gosh, I'm dying, but pretty piercing in a way that like it was a specific area and mildly annoying to painful, but I didn't need to take Advil or anything like that. So I experienced that, as well as in terms of like just straight up like gassed, and using the bathroom was also a wild experience. So there's that. Didn't really feel, I didn't have like stomach pain or anything along those lines. But yeah, you just have to take the scram to kill them and the intestinal movement formula, or drawing formula rather, it is IDF, to actually sweep the parasites out. And then another important point, and I got questions, so we'll address this now and maybe a little bit more on the question section, but how I broke the cleanse, because that is important, especially right if you've done fasting before, you know you don't want to overwhelm your body. And so from talking with others, Colin and Rocky, really what I followed there was I ended on that day 17, and then day 18, woke up, had once again eggs and fruit for breakfast. Then around mid-morning, midday is when I actually broke the meat fast, I guess it would be at that point. And so all the recommendations that I found recommended, okay, cut it with something lighter than like, a heavy red meat. And so I had chicken, and probably 8 ounces of chicken with some potatoes, and felt completely fine. No difference there. Later in the evening, I did have probably about 10 ounces of steak. Once again, felt fine. Maybe just, I felt it was a little heavier digesting, which kind of expected. And since have proceeded basically with eating ground beef. And really the what I would say an interesting benefit of this has been, okay, hey, I know obviously I've eaten fruits and vegetables and eggs, but now what I can do within that meat and dairy spectrum is add in things slowly and sparingly, and also, because of all this, trusting my intuition too. So really, I've only added in butter. I've yet to acquire raw milk. That's on the to-do list. That's where I feel really most comfortable. And yeah, I love cheese. I love ice cream, etc. And I love the protein you get from it. But I'm not really feeling called to that. I think I should really stray away. Maybe that's something that gives me mucus. I don't know. Once again, N equals 1. That's what I feel in your experience. Maybe different. And so that's the way really I've been proceeding. I will probably try cheeses next week. Maybe just try a little bit and see what happens. And then proceed from there. But yeah, I've added meat back in. I had a bit more than a pound of beef today. Still eating eggs and fruits and potatoes and vegetables and honey, and then like dates and butter and butter and cooking and things along those lines. So that's the way that I proceeded, and my results have stayed in terms of I feel charged up, I have good energy, less of a brain fog, and still feel really connected in terms of like, oh, okay, I'm hungry, you should eat this. This is how we should do. I'm not. I've actually only started counting calories just to see where I'm at. I'm not like, oh, I want to meet a caloric goal. I'm just seeing when I am eating till I'm full, what that is in terms of protein and amount of calories total. And so let me just have a little check here for y'all. Final thoughts are, like I said, I made this video for y'all because you had questions, but also I shared on it. I even shared to the local community here where I'm from, which is not probably people like y'all watching this, but actually a bunch of people my parents' age or people I went to high school with who might not be exposed to this. And I share there too because how pleased I was with the results. So for me, Will Coomer personally, once again, I'm not a doctor. Ask your doctor if you need to for this. Do this on your own volition and your own will. I'm not liable. But in my experience, I'm incredibly pleased. If this is something that you're drawn to, I would say definitely check it out. You can Google the symptoms. You obviously heard me just talk about them. If those are similar things you've gone through and you're maybe experiencing, hey, that could be it possibly. I would say really, like I said, tune into that intuition and feel it. If you're really drawn to it, you can investigate. There are other parasite cleanse protocols. I will link what I did, and I like I said, loved it. But plenty of people do. What is it? The horse dewormer. I'm not sure if YouTube would nuke me or not, but there's ivermectin and other options. You can investigate, do your own research. For sure, do your own research. And that's really what I'd say. I've also traveled to a ton of different countries. So if you're not someone who's been to possibly countries where you could have encountered just parasites in general, that was one thing that, yeah, I know I've done that. So maybe I have more than the average person. But another learning through all of this was humans in general have parasites, but especially in the US and in many other countries, unlike what we do for animals. And I'm in a rural area, there's lots of farming. We deworm horses and our farm animals and more, but we don't do parasite cleanses for humans. And so no matter who you are, they say technically we all have parasites, possibly to varying degrees. So maybe I was getting nuked by parasites. Maybe you don't have any, or you have just less naturally. Like I said, results definitely can and probably should vary. Do your own research, follow your intuition on there. And so with that, once again, big shout to the health force. I'm not paid. I don't have an affiliate link. That'd be cool, but I don't have an affiliate link. This is just what Rocky Warkitchen. I've seen him do it. He really recommended. Huge shout out once again to Colin Skinner, who has guided me through this process and basically was just encouraged me to investigate and follow the right paths. And as well as Peyton Elroy for, I think she did Scram also, and her content. Follow all of them. I can link them below also. And then finally, let's get into your questions that you guys asked on IG and Facebook. I'm just going to walk through those and I'll answer them. I may have covered all of them, so some of them we may skip over. And I'll try to shout out if I recognize your profile picture. Yes, okay, so Alec Lucky Dane, I might be pronouncing that wrong. Shout out to you, brother. But he was worried about how to keep enough protein intake as I'm putting on weight. What are your thoughts? So for me, once again, I was working out and a protein was a concern because previously I would be a guy who's eating like 180, 200 plus grams of protein because of how much beef and just meat I eat in general. I was concerned. I actually think I initially throughout the process put on weight. So I would say it's really hard to give without context on who you are, what your habits are, whatnot. It's hard to give a concept. This is a do your own research, experiment with yourself, and see. But especially because of the results that I had, it's 17 days. You can certainly gain the weight that you might have lost or cut off the weight that you might have gained. Either way, it's a short enough period. I know that I'm sure you guys can handle it. Do your own research. Investigate yourself, rely on yourself there. In terms of, I had several people ask outside of the health force stuff or in the diet of no dairy, no meat, eggs, fruits, vegetables, if I did anything else. I actually, beyond liquid iodine that I regularly do, only 3 drops of, do your own research. I'm not a doctor. I did not do any of my other regular supplements. And so I just followed this and meditate. What were my first signs of it? Shouts to Eric. And shouts to Julian as well. But Eric asked, what were your first signs of it? I'm thinking you might have one. For me, once again, it was understanding and learning more about parasites, actually first on an intuitive interest, and then seeing these things in terms of like the heavy craving, the weird emotional reactions. I'm a present guy. I'm not really an emotional guy because of all the meditating and everything else I do. But I had found in these last 3, 5, 6 months that my mind was going on way more than it normally does. And so that was one. Then Zach Delmonico, What's your take now on carnivore eating meat versus no meat or monthly cleanse? And somebody else asked like how many times you can do a parasite cleanse. That I'm not sure. I know people who do ivermectin a couple times a year. They run a couple different rounds. Health Force said that some people, I guess you may be parasited out, and to do multiple rotations, it might take more than one bottle. I feel pretty great right now. I think even just fasting from beef or fasting from meats, I know is actually like on the spiritual scale. Like if we look at almost every single significant spiritual figure in terms of from Jesus to Buddhists or Hindus or whatnot, right? There's a lot of, hey, let's stray away from meat, go to like vegetarian animal products, etc. So that is an interesting practice that I may do in the future, and you can get to perhaps higher vibrational levels or just even more pure. It's a spiritual thing. You can research there. But yeah, I feel eating meat is right for me. I love it. I don't really experience, maybe that's something that caused the brain fog. I guess I'll see in the future. This is now 10 days after finishing it. So I've been 10 days. I'm still the same as the results were through. Obviously, we'll see as months go and whatnot, and perhaps I'll update on socials. But yeah, right now I'm cool with red meat. I'm cool with chicken. Like I said, I'm a little cautious and just experimenting and seeing what happens with dairy. I'll have raw milk very soon. Butter's been great so far, and that's right, whole ingredients, no seed oils, etc. This is Ayabalea. That's the handle. Do you have a tool to measure how much parasites you eliminated and how much are still in your body? Technically, you can take tests for that. I actually didn't take a test because of how confident I was based on what my symptoms were. And then a lot of people, as I was going through the cleanse, if people know about parasite cleanses, if you look at videos, there will be people who literally like will pull out like worms and different, like you can have fecal matter stuck in your body for years and years and years, like tens and more of years. I was not the guy to be like, oh yeah, let me just dissect my stool, dissect my waste. That was not me. So basically what I did is after I used the bathroom, I might turn around and look and see. I didn't see a 12-foot long tapeworm or anything like that, but on my note, because of how I felt and currently feel in terms of those returns, I would say definitely eliminated. And actually on that note, I didn't talk about the reason you take the intestinal movement formula or intestinal, whatever, IDF, IMF. The secondary, which I'll include, is because once the parasites are killed, you actually have to sweep them out. How do I know it was effective? On everything that I said. Like I said, I didn't dissect anything. Based on the way I feel, I am pleased with the results, and intuition and more tell me that, okay, hey, these are the results. This is what went down. Topias asks, why you cut out meat during the cleanse? Grass-fed beef, no good during it. So as far as my understanding, this is from talking with others and doing my research, right? I brought up that point earlier of the whole spiritual thing of adding the meat. I do not think that this is a spiritually related thing. This is a holistic science and holistic health based on their recommendation. I know meat is heavier, and meat also has certain ingredients in it, like chemicals or ingredients that the parasites may feed off of. So you're also starving them in some ways, right? Just like you're not eating processed food, which a lot of times they feed on and they will grow by. And so you cut those things out. Like I said, I'm back on it, and I'm very grateful I followed it their way. I'm not sure what it'd be like if you ate it with meat. I would imagine perhaps not as intense, but like I said, do your own research, try it yourself. How do they come out of you? This is really interesting. Some people reported like, oh yeah, they might come out through the skin or whatever. I didn't really see that too much. Basically, it was come out in the bathroom, etc. And yeah, that's how I'd say it was using the facility. Logan also asked, what about a heavy metal detox? I've heard that, and that's too, I think perhaps partially why there was no beef too. So you can have heavy metals and parasites, and heavy metals are something that pollute your body as well and can affect your overall health or your gut and more. So yeah, I'm definitely interested to try more. I'm interested in trying like the detox dude, Joshua Mason, who was in those original videos that I watched, even recommends things like coffee enema, which just sounds absolutely nuts. Based on how I feel after this, maybe not quite a coffee enema yet, but people do like colon cleanses and more, and I'm so pleased with the results. I would be okay with trying that if that clears more out and helps me to feel better. worth it. Derek asked, how do you know you're not feeling optimal? Kind of discussed this in the video previously. And for me, that was, I had felt way better in multiple earlier stages of life. And I knew, hey, this isn't right, intuitively and just based on that past experience. And so that's how I knew I wasn't feeling optimal. You can also ask and compare yourself to others who are in more or less peak states of health, and they will share, right? Do your own research. Make sure it's not a guru or a scammer or a guy lying. Generally, if you're young enough, I would say you have a pretty good idea about, okay, this guy's legit enough. If it's someone who, is bodybuilding and may or may not be on tests or other steroids, they're probably not going to feel the same naturally as you or I. Yeah, by the way, I'm not using anything. I don't do peptides even. So I'm natty. I supplement normally, but nothing crazy, no injections, whatever. Noah Morris asks, how do you know the symptoms are associated with parasites? Brain fog, for example, could be from anything. Yeah, the brain fog, I didn't even know I had previously. So the elimination there, I would say, has to be from the parasites. Perhaps that could be, once again, the meat. I will see as I go on and continue eating. If brain fog comes back, I'll let y'all know. But otherwise, yeah, based on those symptoms and what I've done, I tried to isolate the variables as much as possible. So yeah, I know there's still a couple, but I was following what they recommended and not trying a bunch of stuff at the same time beyond just this protocol. And that is the final question. So if you do have more questions, please drop them in the comments. Thank you all for watching. If you try one, let me know. Please feel free to ask me questions or give me updates on Instagram at will.coomer. Enjoy. Good evening. Sleep well, everyone. Rest well. And life is amazing. It is what it should be.